Let's get this going real quick. Market update. It's going to say it's November 7th. So 2022, if you forgot the year, if you live under a rock like I do sometimes. So let's kind of get into this. So I'm not too surprised that we didn't really drop, but we look at Apple always from an initial perspective, and then we kind of go to Bitcoin and some other things using Apple as the main determinant. So we're going to use that. Um, for everything. That we're going to follow the same format. So anyway, I'm not too surprised. We started here, like I said in the stream. I feel like we have a chance of going up. I'll go over quickly for the day time frame. We can see here we never really had any sort of rejection here. So just from this basic reason, we do have a big gap that there's a big reason to fight for here. And then also on the week time frame, we can see that it's pretty bad. If we started up here, I would have thought this was pretty good. You know, we have other issues in this area too, that 155.50. But I think if we started here, we could easily have found support here and pushed up. But things happen for a certain reason. Other people probably saw things like this too. There's other things that played into this course. We just went through, or we think we're still going through earnings for several companies. We had bad earnings for maybe not the worst earnings for some of these companies, but bad guidance and forward guidance, obviously specifically. Um, I guess that's the only thing, right? Anyway, but from a week time frame, of course, I wanted to see a start here. I think that would have been the most bullish. I had a decent feeling, even if we started down here, um, that we'd still push up. But the thing is that I do think there's a decent chance to get pushed down here, but this is going to be that 146.20. And so let me kind of put it this way. So I do think there's a really good chance that we'll start another day above in this area and we'll push up to 142.60, 142.65. And then because we do have this big gap here, I do think there's a strong reason for us to push up and try to fill this gap up here. Now we can see these averages coming down. Um, a big reason for this to kind of get sold down. It wouldn't be really that surprising. Maybe it's better if I do have another apple somewhere. Is it this one? I don't think it makes a big difference. All it does is show the rising wedge. Um, but yeah, pretty much. We'll go back to the other one because I do think they slightly differ on like what lines I have. I don't remember, but I don't want to get into it too much. So from that perspective, I still think there's a decent chance. So what are we looking at? Some actionable targets. I had a decent feeling we'd push back up today, so I didn't want to mess with it. It could have pushed down too. I think it could have pushed down, but it would have been more likely. So what I want to see what's actionable and something that I'm going to trade on is what I'm looking for tomorrow is a start relatively in this area. Nothing's really changed. These are our ranges. This is our range, same thing as before. It's a lot sketchier up here, as we can kind of see here, the same thing where this was our range, right? Wasn't really that pretty coming up. We did start Monday here, which was nice on the week time frame. We can see right here. Let's show this. So we had this nice start after all of these under here. So we did start, push up, nice bounce. Here we did push up, nice amount. But these are all, in my opinion, are really weak starting points. And we get a fairly strong starting point that brings us into the day time frame here. So, we had this same thing here, kind of getting this place, boom. And then we had this up here also as well as our next range. And then here could have been nice, but then obviously we started right under resistance. So it's no surprise that we kind of pushed down in this manner. And just to kind of show again, for anyone that didn't see extended trading hours, this is what happened. So, and it wasn't just like an immediate sell down. I mean, a lot of this was, um, if we look at it, where was it again? Should be back here. But one second, I have to sneeze. Okay, my bad. I just sneezed. But yeah, you can see like there is a one big sell down here, but you can see there is a decent averaging. So like, of course, this is like 136, but there's a decent averaging of the price within this area, which is pretty insane. Averaging somewhere around like 140, 150. So that is quite a bit of pressure there. So I think that's important to note also as well. Um, that kind of adds into why we kind of popped up also as well. So if we look at like where 140, 150 is, this thing came all the way down, averaged here in post market, and got sold all the way down to 136 here, just to give a wider view. So just give a wider view. This is at 136, and here's where it averaged. So it's not a huge surprise that it pushed back up. I didn't mess with it when it pushed back up because it is what it is. Um, if it did start here, I would have liked it more. I just treat it as the standard stuff. It started here, I liked it more. Anyway, so just as kind of like a quick overview. I don't think anything's really changed from that kind of perspective. It's been a while since I've done some videos, so I just want to go over some of those basics of what I look at anyway. So just to reiterate again, whoops, this is our range. This is our range. I'm going to be honest though with how many people think this stuff is bearish, and depending on what happens with the midterms tomorrow and what it looks like, it's possible that we just start somewhere up here and it could push up through it. Now, it's not something I'm going to trade, so it kind of is what it is. As always, I like for these things to start down here. This is the position, this is the range or entry, this is the exit or take profit and let some run if I really want to. On a little bit, maybe like 10% or whatever whatever I deem necessary. I usually don't like doing it that way, but just that's a way that you can do it also as well, especially when doing stocks. Maybe not so much options, but then I'll wait for something here. I have a hard time seeing it get past here. And I think all this buy up is pretty standard for what it is. Even when we look at the Nasdaq on the daytime frame, I do think this is standard. Like I was saying in the morning, I think I said it yesterday on one of the streams. They're privated now because I rushed them out, but I had Biden thumbnails, so I got flagged for it. But um, the point is I still think there's a decent chance that we come back up to this area at least. So, and I don't see anything here that says like, yeah, we're really going to shoot up for certain. These are pretty weighted areas here, weighted tops. So I'm not a huge fan of that. So it's just, this coming up, I don't have a lot of faith necessarily. What do I need to do? Is this it? Yeah, okay. I've been hitting the wrong button on my mouse so many times. Okay, thinking it was doing something else. Okay. It's been a while since I've used my Bluetooth mouse. So yeah, I think we can still come up. We'll see 11. I mean, I think it's going to come past this probably, but it just is what it is. Like, long story short, I think we have a chance of even coming up to here. We'll see what happens. I look at Apple for a lot of this stuff. This does make me feel a little bit sketched. I would like to see this somewhere up in this area here, and then this would just be the overall range I treated. I think this fib has shown a decent amount. I think it's pretty good for what it is. Anyway, so I do think what 12,151 is a pretty decent spot with a base of 11,330. But I'd like to see us in this area first, and we have two averages to get through and probably countless on the shorter time frames. Yeah, so we'll have to get through the day, 375, and we'll have to get through both 12 hours to get to that spot. So it has a lot to really fight against. Um, it's got the twos above it. It's got a lot above it. I have a decent amount of confidence, though. Too many people are too short a lot of the time, so we'll see what happens. Um, I would, in one perspective, it's not horrible, but I would have preferred, in a sense, if we'd start ended down here under the line and then we start above it. You usually when you're under resistance, you have more people shorting and selling out of position. So just in general, when you have a day that starts up here, it's just going to shoot up, and you get a lot of people FOMOing and wrecked out of their position. So I think it's just a bit stronger instead of starting or ending the day up here kind of on a strong note because you're not catching anyone really off guard. People that are defensive are still defensive. Like if you're shorting and this is your average, you're pretty defensive here. You're not really aggressive in your shorts or anything that you're doing. Just to kind of show this line, we can get off extended hours, but just to show this line, we've had some pretty decent action around here. It's been a great line this whole time. So, just to kind of show it again. So we'll see what happens. It could just shoot up. It's not something I expect to trade off of. I'm going to look for where it starts. I should be on the morning. We'll see. Dollar doesn't look too good. I don't think there's really much to look into for the dollar specifically. The VIX is kind of a mixed matched week. In my opinion, all the VIX really has to do is start a day back above this 200 smooth average, and we could push back up. The week doesn't have anything specific to me. It's an in-between week when there's stuff like this. Like we can kind of see on some of these weeks that start here. So like for example, like here, we still push all the way up and then we end all the way back down. So I think it's like in between. I don't think there's anything too specific here. You know, we end here, but we started up here, right? We come down for support. We're just in between the averages now. We didn't start low enough to make it, in my opinion, what seems like pretty more or less more sure that we're going to be continuing to push down. So we could get an extra push down here. Like I said, same thing with Apple. We're already on the bottom side. So we'll see where this starts. I think it's like as always, I think it's worse when it ends above and then starts under, but so we're not going to have like, in my opinion, too much extra pressure downwards from that one perspective. But you know, with the Republicans sweeping midterms, if that does happen, or like the speculation of close runs, we could see that happening. So I think I don't want to get into it too much. There's another way you could kind of look at it, but I think that's just the easiest way to look at a decent amount of this stuff. Like I could see a possible outcome, like depending on if Republicans didn't win, but if it was close and it looked likely, I could see the market kind of going up if there were some close races that had to be like recounted or whatnot. You know, just people playing all speculation. I don't think Amazon went up too much, really anything at all. Yeah, I mean it pushed up um, from like later part of the day. I think Meta did a lot better. Meta is the one I had a little bit more faith in. Um, both of them I had a decent amount of faith in. I don't think it really matters um, too much because if we do get like a strong day tomorrow, I do still think a lot of stuff is going to push up. It did a lot better um, than Apple did. It has better targets too. Like the day's all the way up here at 112, and this is like a 1 hour I think was right here. Yeah, the 1 hours are here. So this was the only really significant one on Amazon. It was the week was at 100, so that had 10%. With this one having a possibility of like 20% before it hits hard resistance. The one's not huge, but um, it just kind of is what it is. So I just wanted to note it when I noted it. But I guess Bitcoin, we can go over Bitcoin really quickly. Still having a little bit of issue. We've come down to this 20,000. Well, we've come down a little under 20,500. So it's nice that we finally pushed down. We have a new day that started down here. I think it's pretty standard that we're pushing here. I don't think anything, as usual, I don't think think too much from Bitcoin. I think the best thing to do from here is still look at what the market is going to do. And from that standpoint, I'm still looking for Apple to start the day. I'd really like it to start somewhere between 138.75 and 140, no higher than 138.75 and 140. And I think we'll have more pressure upwards than we will downwards. I think there's a lot of space. There's a lot of space for this to move. There's a lot of volatility on this, so I think there's a decent chance. So even if we look at this, it's kind of like well, it's not a megaphone, but it's kind of in a sense it's where it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So our ranges are getting bigger as well. So that does make this a lot more attractive than what it was in some of these areas where it's not nearly as big of gain. So if we just kind of look here, for example, we got 2%, and if we look here now, we have almost 3%, 2.8% right there. So our range has increased, like 25% or something like that, which is pretty nice. Or is it 25%? I'm too lazy to think about it. What's 225% of 200? No, it's more than that. Is it there? Is it really? Is it 33? I guess it is. I don't know, 33% or something. Anyway, let's see. Would that even be right? I don't know. I don't know why my math feels off. I was doing some game earlier and I forgot. It seems off. The number seems off. I don't know why. From 2 to 3%. It's a 50% increase. Why does that seem so difficult in my head for a second? I don't know why. Anyway, moving on. So it's like a 50% increase. It's a little less, so it's like a 40 something percent increase. Anyway, so I think that's the easiest way to look at it. I don't think Bitcoin's out of the woodworks yet. We kind of expected this. I was talking about yesterday. We kind of expected it. Looked like it wanted to come down to 20,500. It's not too surprising. Where the week started looked really good. I do like that it started up here and so close. I don't think this is really a big issue for it whatsoever. I mean, it could come all the way down here, but if we have, just looking at the market, if the market pushes up, I think Bitcoin's going to push up alongside with it. in that perspective. So maybe it gets hit hard though if Republicans look like they're going to win in the U.S. elections. Maybe it could be seen as them fighting inflation. It would be a bad thing, but I think stability for the markets, it would overall be seen as a good thing from that perspective. I do like silver in a sense that it came down. It's not that bad. It's only about 1% away. If it came down 1% more, it would have touched. So I think this is pretty nice for what it is right now. I like silver in its area. So I think we have the day here, which is going to kind of be an issue. We'll see what happens. I don't want to get too much into it. A lot of this stuff is usual. I think the easiest way to go about it is just to look at the market. Um, and let's see. I don't know why I had that there. Let's see. Oh, that must have been from a while ago because the day is all the way down here. I haven't changed this in a while. The week probably needs to be adjusted. Not too much. Okay. It's a little ugly on this. We'll see what happens. I think, as always, I think the easiest way is just to look at the normal markets, or Apple in this case, which I still think is overall has a high chance of being bullish. Because looking at the dollar from some of these things, the dollar seems to be just wonky, moving with the market. Um, Royal Caribbean, Shopify. I don't know why this is here. It doesn't really matter anyway. Let's see, what's Doge doing? Oh, Doge is coming back. Oh, it actually hit. This is scary now because it took so long. So just to show if anyone hasn't seen this, looking at the 200 smooth average, we can see here, just to show you, you see that right there. After it's getting rejected multiple times, see that? And then we'll look on the 4 hour, you can see that. And then we'll look on the 12 hour, we can see rejected, rejected, boom, see that? And so for the day time frame, we never did that. So to me, I think this could have went to 20 at least, 20 cents, somewhere around there. A little short of it, 19.6 cents. But it just never seemed to want to come back down. And so now it's come back down. And um, personally, I think it's a little too late. We'll see what happens. But I personally think this is a little too late for Doge. And I think the biggest issue Doge has is if Bitcoin drops, it gets wrecked. And if Bitcoin shoots up, if we do have like some super bullishness, it's going to get hit pretty hard, obviously, because a lot of this is from its Bitcoin value, you know. So this is the main one I look at. We could probably see some from this also as well, but this is really like the main one that I look at. So I had some of the old ones, so from the other fib here for some of these levels because I like it, but this is the main one that I like. So because I have two, I just don't want to be like, oh, you can see on this one than that one because it becomes less obvious, or not less obvious, but it's more like trying to manipulate data to prove a point, and there's no point in doing that. So we'll just ignore the other one. But yeah, one of the big things I don't like about this either is we're kind of back into this area, and even just ignoring like this, we bounced right here when we pushed up, and now we're having trouble and we're struggling under here. So I really don't like this. And if it does go down to like touch, that's probably another 13%. Unless Bitcoin goes up, that 13% is going to bring us, you know, down to like 9.7 cents. So a little SOS with Doge right there. I guess there's nothing to go over really with Ripple. I'll just throw it out there though. We didn't see what we wanted to see on the week time frame with Ripple, which is starting above the week 200 smooth moving average. So just wait and see again still from it. You know, it's kind of just tragic. It keeps coming up there and it keeps failing to get by it. People just keep taking profits and shorting there, and it is what it is. And it seems like a pretty standard kind of trade for it. Everything's pretty standard more or less. So yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. I think the 4 hours look nice. I'm not too worried about Bitcoin. We'll see what the market does. Um, yeah, and we're just to say one more time, we're looking for Bitcoin to start between 138, 138.76 and 140. It could shoot up if it starts above that, but I think it's going to look weaker and weaker. the closer to this top of this that it starts. So anyway, take care, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.